And now we'll bring up Gervonta Tank Davis as it.
Gervonta, Tank Davis, and Lamont Roach's rematch press conference erupted into chaos after a massive brawl broke out, with Tank shockingly hurling a chair at Roach. The WBA lightweight champion had less to say and more to prove with his fists, igniting the scene with action rather than words. Tensions flared when Roach kicked off the provocation, which escalated further as members of his entourage from the audience jumped in, turning the event into a full-blown melee.
Ange, what did you want to say to him?
He's a front runner like everybody else that I fought. That's it. That's it. That's it. Okay.
So you said he's a front runner just like everyone else you fought?
For the people that's here, that's all he's doing. Showing off for them. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. He's showing off. He ain't had none of this energy any other time. Now, no, it's not. No.
Tensions boiled over at the press conference for Gervonta, Tank Davis, and Lamont Roach's rematch, escalating beyond anything seen before. While their first presser featured heated words, this time it turned physical. Tank clashed violently with Roach's supporters in the crowd, and as Roach stepped in to defuse, or perhaps escalate, the situation, Davis launched a chair at him in a fit of rage. Security scrambled to restore order as several of Roach's entourage attempted to storm the stage. Amid the chaos, Roach taunted Davis. Asterisk, I showed the world I can hang with you. Next time, I'm taking that belt for good. Clearly agitated, Davis fired back. Asterisk, you talk too much, Lamont. I'm going to shut you up for good. The intense face-off has ignited massive buzz online, with fans now more eager than ever to witness what promises to be an explosive rematch.
It's always an electric atmosphere when you step into the ring. And once again, the last time you were in Barclays Center, you broke records. They're anticipating those records to be broken. What happens as Gervonta Tank Davis defends his world title again?
Same old, same old. I get the people what they want to see, man. Explosive knockouts and shit like that. That's what come with me. So
the drama didn't end on stage. It followed Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach backstage, where tensions reached a boiling point. According to reports, Davis cornered Roach and issued a chilling threat. Asterisk, I'm coming for you again. This time, there's no running, no excuses. I'm going to prove who the real champ is. Unfazed, Roach stood his ground, confident he can outbox Davis and finally capture the WBA lightweight title. The atmosphere was electric as both fighters faced off in front of a packed crowd at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. This rematch comes with heavy baggage. Their first encounter ended in a highly controversial draw, with many fans and pundits questioning the officiating. Davis's camp, while escaping defeat, voiced frustration over the result, while Roach's team has consistently maintained he was robbed of a rightful win. Now, with bad blood boiling over and no love lost between the two, the rematch promises fireworks.
You know, when the niggas, when they start talking, when the people that who I fight, when they start talking, that's when y'all get dumped. I'm gonna beat his ass when y'all talking. Y'all better be quiet. All Not at all. Never.
The controversy surrounding their first bout has only poured gasoline on an already raging fire, making the rematch between Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach one of the most anticipated fights of the year. Originally set for June 21st, The clash has been postponed to late summer or early fall, reportedly to give Davis additional preparation time. Despite the delay, both fighters remain locked in an intense build-up fueled by pride, legacy, and the coveted WBA lightweight title. The chaos at the press conference, from flying chairs to explosive threats, has only amplified public interest. Reactions have flooded in from fans and fighters alike, with many praising the raw intensity, while others voiced concern over the sport's image. One fan remarked, "What impressed me is that Gervonta Davis has finally found his match. He's now out of intimidation tactics against Roach. Violence is the next option." One embarrassment to the sport of boxing.
Don't worry about this. They might get you. They're going to treat you like a staff. They're going to treat you like a staff, so don't worry about that.
So you said, what round would you ideally like to get him out of there?
Man, everybody won the first.
The buzz around the Gervonta Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach rematch is reaching fever pitch, with fans fully invested in the explosive rivalry. The press conference may have descended into chaos, but for many, it only added to the drama and anticipation that I'm loving this drama between Lamont Roach and Gervonta Davis. One fan wrote, "It's really up for fight of the year." The tension at the press conference was electric. "I'm definitely tuning in for their rematch." Another chimed in, "It's going to be a war, a crazy one." Davis needs to prove himself again after that close call last time. I'm hyped to see how these two clash in the ring. I hope Lamont wins this clash, but not everyone's backing Roach. A third fan declared, "Gervonta Davis is going to shut Lamont Roach down." Roach thinks he can outbox Davis, but he's got another thing coming. Davis's power is unmatched, and he's going to prove why he's the champ. Roach has skills, sure, but he's no match for Tank's ferocity. Davis is coming out on top, no question.
Shit, I'm trying to knock anybody out. I don't care if it was him, if it was anybody else. I'm trying to knock everybody out. Everybody in this room right now know what's going on. Come on, stop. Stop. Y'all know what's going on. Y'all know how I'm coming. Y'all know how I'm coming. So stop. 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 Y'all gonna make it hard for him. That's what y'all gonna do. Y'all gonna make it hard for him.
Another fan weighed in, saying, Lamont Roach Jr. is a beast. He gave Davis a run for his money last time, and I'm confident he can do it again. Roach's speed and agility will give Davis fits, and I think he might just pull off the upset. Davis is underestimating Roach at his own peril. Roach is going to prove he's better. With emotions running high and fans split down the middle, the stage is set for an unforgettable showdown between two elite fighters. Gervonta Davis brings knockout power and aggression, while Lamont Roach counters with slick movement, sharp counters, and unshakable confidence. It's a classic clash of styles and pride, where only one man will leave the ring as champion. As the verbal barbs keep flying and the tension escalates, the big question remains: who will emerge victorious? Adding even more intrigue to the mix, Frank Martin, Davis's last opponent, chimed in with a wild comment about the rematch winner. Stay tuned, because this rivalry isn't just heating up, it's about to explode.
Competitor would want to compete with Roach, but what did you think about that fight? Like, did you
That
think
fight?
it was competitive?
Yeah. I think it was competitive. I feel like with them having I feel like the relationship that they got or they had, as far as coming up together and kind of knowing the same people, working with the same people, it kind of was more of the fight was more of like I feel like so Roach came out and fought.
Forgive Frank Martin for being a bit salty about Gervonta Tank Davis's performance against Lamont Roach. After all, Martin faced what many consider the most dangerous version of Davis to ever step into the ring. Their June 2024 clash showcased Davis at his most devastating. While Martin found early success, landing clean shots through the first 3 rounds as Tank made his trademark slow start, the tide quickly turned. Davis adjusted, turned up the pressure, and began walking Martin down with terrifying composure, cutting off the ring and stalking him into corners. Then came the 8th round and the beginning of the end. Davis unleashed a thunderous left uppercut against the ropes, a punch Martin never saw coming. The shot left him dazed, frozen, and glassy-eyed. Moments later, another crushing left hand sealed the deal, sending Martin sprawling to the canvas for the count.
Best fight that he could possibly fight, right? Against Tank. He came out with his A game. Boom. And I feel like Tank came in that fight not underestimating Roach, but more like we got history. I know what he liked, basically, but Roach is gonna automatically have more of a little spark because he tried to get that spot. And Tank probably just like, I know you. I'm gonna do what I want to do to you, or I'm gonna do what I've done to you. I know they fought prior, the fights might have been close or whatever, but...
Gervonta Tank Davis faced a far tougher challenge against Lamont Roach this past March than many expected. Roach didn't just survive. He countered Davis's counters, absorbed his power shots, and even backed up the reigning WBA lightweight champion at times. The fight ended in a draw, though a majority of viewers and analysts felt Roach had done enough to earn the win. Frank Martin, who knows Tank's peak power firsthand, weighed in on the performance. Speaking to Ron Goodall of Fight Hype, Martin suggested the close fight had more to do with Davis underperforming than Roach being superior. Though he did give Roach his flowers. Roach came out and fought the best fight he could possibly fight, Martin said. He came in with his A game. I feel like Tank fought that fight not fully trying to get off. He fought him more relaxed and chill instead of trying to get him up out of there. I think he thought the fight may have been easier than it was.
I feel like Tank fought that fight not like fully like trying to get off. I don't feel like, like he fought it more relaxed and chill instead of, really trying to get him up out of there. I think that he thought the fight may have been easier than what it was. And Roach did his thing. He took advantage of that. And shit, the fight came to a draw. But I think the rematch, honestly,
One of the most controversial moments in the Davis versus Roach fight came in round 9, when Gervonta Tank Davis unexpectedly took a knee after eating a stiff jab from Roach. The jab itself wasn't particularly punishing, but Davis quickly turned and raced to his corner, where a trainer wiped his face mid-round, a move that raised serious eyebrows. After the bout, Davis claimed his vision was compromised due to hair grease running into his eyes, causing a stinging sensation that forced him to momentarily retreat. Referee Steve Willis began a count, as per standard protocol when a fighter takes a knee, but notably did not rule a knockdown or penalize Davis for the corner interference. This sparked heated debate across the boxing community, and former opponent Frank Martin didn't hold back. Speaking with Ron Goodall of Fight Hype, Martin accused the officials of protecting Davis that it was a close fight. Martin said, I feel like the draw was cool, but with him taking a knee, like I say, Tank knows they're going to give it to their man. They're going to give it to the guy who brings in all the money.
It's going to be a good fight still, but I think Tank may get him up out of there this fight. And even with the knockdown and all that stuff too, I know you probably was going to ask me about that. It was a close-ass fight. I feel like the draw was cool. But with him taking the knee, like I say, Tank. Like they gonna give it to their man. They gonna give it to the guy who bringing in all the money.
When asked whether Gervonta Tank Davis fought better against him than he did against Lamont Roach, Frank Martin didn't hesitate. For sure. Hell yeah, he told Ron Goodall of Fight Hype. I felt like he was a lot more locked in for me than he was for Roach. Roach is a good fighter, but I just felt he was more locked in for me. Martin explained that when a fighter steps in against someone with serious punching power, there's a heightened level of focus. When you fight a puncher, fighters who can punch, you're going to be more on your stuff, more on your A game, because a guy can catch you with something. He probably didn't feel the same way when he fought Roach. Looking ahead to the highly anticipated August 16th rematch, Martin is backing Davis, but with caution. I think the rematch is going to be a good fight, but I think Tank may get him out of there.
A close fight overall, but the rematch, I feel like Tank gonna do. He gonna turn up on this next one.
You think he was locked in more with you than Roach, or you think it was kind of?
For sure. Hell yeah. I thought he was a lot more locked in with me than Roach. Roach a good fighter. Roach a good fighter, but I just feel like it was more. He was more locked in when it came to me. Just because when you fight.
Martin is open to facing Lamont Roach and didn't hold back from taking a subtle shot at Roach's post-fight celebration tour, calling it more of a moral win than a real one. "I'm definitely willing to fight him." With his big head, Martin said jokingly. Meanwhile, Rolando "Raleigh" Romero, the man Gervonta Davis handed his first career loss to, is backing Davis to beat Roach in a potential rematch. "I'd pick Tank," Romero said. "I think he'll make the necessary adjustments this time around."
I definitely felt
I truly like, but that also didn't seem like just Tank in general. And
so is that Lamar Tank's fault?
And I will tell you this, Tank, I know for a fact, was sparring a 122 pounder, and that was the only person he sparred all camp. Literally all camp that he sparred a 122 pounder.
Was he taller than these?
No, he's shorter than Tank.
Bro.
Or him and Tank same height. Like I said, Tank wasn't really training.
People want to discredit Tank, he's still a pound for pound fighter.
What do you think about that fight that happened? You thought it was just an off night?
Everybody has an off night.
Romero, who was stopped by Gervonta Davis in the 6th round of their lightweight title clash back in March 2022 at Barclays Center, admits he's unsure who truly won Saturday night's 12-round battle between Davis and Lamont Roach for the WBA 135-pound title. While he respects Roach and praised his gritty performance, Romero believes Davis will learn from the mistakes he made and come back sharper if a rematch happens. Speaking to the ring ahead of a press conference promoting his own May 2nd showdown with Ryan Garcia in Times Square, Romero addressed the controversial draw and its fallout. Lamont Roach took everyone in the boxing world by surprise that night, Romero said.
Everybody has an off night. Shit, I had a fucking night hanging here with Cruz. Everyone has a night boxing.
You want to run that back with Cruz or what?
Maybe down the line.
He's a tremendous fighter, bro. He's a really good fighter, man, dude. He beat Hector Garcia, and then he took the belt from him. And he came up, and I know he's a lot more durable and stronger at 135.
He's also seen Tank the most in previous fights before.
Like they already had 2 fights, right?
Yeah, so
I think he even surprised himself. Well, maybe not, Romero clarified. He went in there confident, composed, and fought like a true professional. It was a very close fight. Romero was quick to add that none of this takes away from Gervonta "Tank" Davis's accomplishments. Tank is a 3-division world champion, one of the greatest fighters of our generation, he said. Lamont Roach just had a really good night against him. Romero also emphasized the need for a rematch, citing the lingering controversy surrounding the result. That random knee. None of the punches landed, and it wasn't even an aggressive exchange until that moment. It came out of nowhere, he explained. They didn't count it as a knockdown, but if they had, Tank would have lost. Still, Romero gave credit where it was due. Roach was very patient, took his time, and fought like a real professional. That rematch needs to happen.
If anybody
2 fights.
Tank and Roach, they fought twice before in the amateurs.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, they had history and they sparred a good amount of times and all that stuff. Yeah, but.
So you think a rematch? Do you think this remotivated Tank? And do you think a rematch, Tank just goes in and wins that fight?
I don't know, bro. We gotta see what like if it was a Tank.
With the rematch looming, Ryan Garcia hasn't held back in offering his take, adding fuel to the growing anticipation. Speaking to ES News, Garcia confidently predicted the outcome. "I got Tank," Garcia said. "I think he'll tap into a different gear. I think he expected it to be easier than it was, thought Roach would fold. And he didn't. Now he knows it's a tougher fight, and I think he wins the rematch." Garcia's insight, shaped by his own experience in the ring with Gervonta Davis, brings an added layer of intrigue. He believes Davis may have underestimated Roach the first time around, but will return with more urgency, focus, and fire when they meet again.
From what I've seen in the fight, I thought Lamont won, and I think the commission does need to do something with that knee, because if they don't, then all of us are going to think we could take a knee anytime we want. They got to do something about it. I mean, they did something about me, you got to do something about other people. Rules are rules, right? It's I like Tank though, personally, but A rule is a rule. You can't go and take a knee and then just expect not to be a knockdown. You know, you can't get away with it, stuff like that.
When you say 1 foot in boxing and 1 foot out.
Ryan Garcia's prediction for the rematch between Gervonta, Tank Davis, and Lamont Roach has ignited heated debate among boxing fans. With anticipation building for the sequel, Garcia's perspective, shaped by his own experience in the ring with Davis, adds a compelling layer to the conversation. But not everyone is sold on Tank cruising to victory. Shakur Stevenson, speaking with The Ring, offered a pointed critique of the growing chorus of fighters backing Davis. It's like all of Gervonta Davis's victims want to affirm his greatness by picking him to beat Lamont Roach, Stevenson said. They know once Lamont wins, it reflects on them, that they couldn't beat a fighter who turned out to be beatable. Stevenson doesn't see the rematch going much differently than the first fight, where Roach surprised many by going the distance and earning a controversial majority draw with Davis on March 1st at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Davis, a heavy minus 161 favorite according to DraftKings, struggled against his former amateur rival, who had moved up from junior lightweight for the high-stakes PBC pay-per-view main event as the rematch nears. Stevenson predicts Davis will again face serious trouble with Roach, a left-handed technician who refuses to fold under pressure.
His confidence against Tank is a recipe for disaster. But it's low output, high accuracy. Good body shot there from Davis. Another body shot from Davis. Straight right down the middle. Always a weapon against the southpaw. He left hook by Roach in the jab. There's a chopping right hand. Good punch from Roach. Back to unofficial scorer, Larry Hazard.
Had referee Steve Willis ruled a knockdown when Gervonta Davis voluntarily took a knee early in the 9th round, Lamont Roach would have walked away with a decision win. To make matters more controversial, moments after taking the knee, Davis was aided by his longtime trainer Calvin Ford, who wiped a substance from Davis's eye, something that blurred his vision. Since Willis never officially paused the action, Ford's move essentially functioned as an unofficial timeout, under the rules that could have warranted a disqualification. Shakur Stevenson, a 3-division world champion from Newark, New Jersey, was one of the few fighters who didn't dismiss Roach as just another tune-up opponent. While the fight was largely marketed as a stay-busy bout for Davis, Stevenson saw real danger in Roach's style, and he put his money where his mouth was. Confident in his prediction, Stevenson revealed he placed a sizable bet on the fight going the distance, a move that earned him roughly $25,000.
Thoughts on, the Ring Magazine rankings did come out, and we know your accolades, we know what you've done. Keyshawn's made a lot of noise recently, and that's your boy, but what you think about him being ranked above you?
So what do you think about the rankings?
I mean, if you're asking me personally, Kevin Garcia, I think that you should be ranked #1.
Okay, so
based on your accolades.
The guy at #1 is a guy that just had a draw his last fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then, what are we talking about? It ain't really nothing to even talk about. It is what it is, right?
Though Shakur Stevenson respects and supports Lamont Roach, he ultimately wants Gervonta Davis to win the rematch. The reason? Business. Davis is one of boxing's biggest stars, Stevenson noted, and he represents the most lucrative option for my 24th professional fight.
Today. So what do you think, considering you were one of the handful of people to pick Lamont Roach, giving him a tough fight? What do you think?
I think it's dangerous for him to go back in there and fight Lamont. I think Lamont is a hell of a fighter. I can see that going left. So
I would love that fight to happen, Shakur Stevenson told The Ring, referring to a potential showdown with Gervonta Davis. But I'm not like everybody else, saying it's a rematch and he's just going to go in there and knock this guy out or make it easier. I don't see it that way. Stevenson made it clear that he holds Lamont Roach in high regard. Lamont has been waiting for this opportunity his entire life. I've been in the ring with him. I've been in the gym with him. I know who Lamont Roach is. His respect for Roach ran deep enough to put money on the line. I bet on that fight going the distance because I knew Roach wasn't going to get a fair decision, Stevenson said. But I also knew he was too good to get stopped. That's why I cashed in.
Yo, I kind of said 154. I probably was stretching it. I'm stretching 154, but I'll fight him at 147. 147 mean kind of could get it in.
Johnny Boy boxing and fight. If you beat some Andrew, do you feel that that's the toughest test of your career? And they'll give you the credit if you win? I don't know.
Who knows? It's a never ending process, you know. I think I stopped looking for credit because at the end of the day, once you get the credit, something else happens, they gonna move on anyway. So the credit really doesn't matter. It just matters how I feel, what I feel after the fight.
Despite Lamont Roach's impressive showing in their first encounter, Gervonta Davis, the ring's #1 ranked lightweight contender, opened as a 6-1 favorite in the rematch, according to FanDuel. But not everyone's buying into the odds. Shakur Stevenson, currently ranked 3rd by the ring at 135 pounds, continues to challenge the public perception of the rematch. Based on his first-hand experience with Roach, Stevenson believes the fight will be anything but easy for Davis the second time around. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on boxing news, key moments, major events, and all the action from around the ring, stay locked in with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on quality content like this. Until next time, peace, **boxing glove, oncoming fist.